Welcome to Sound Values, powered in part by LSA Burger and Classic of Denton. The views and opinions expressed by the show hosts and their guests are those of the show host and guests, and not necessarily those of the sponsors, DentonRadio.com, or the Denton Convention and Visitors Bureau. For more information, visit the Policies and Procedures page at DentonRadio.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in live tonight here on DentonRadio.com. We are broadcasting out of the beautiful Discover Denton Welcome Center on the ever-turning to summer, getting muggier and hotter Denton Square. You are tuned in tonight to Sound Values. My name is Kind Beats, and we are here with the elegant, the wonderful, the guru of fashion design and marketing, Amanda Sweet. How are you doing?
Great. How are you?
I am fantastic. It is great to have you in
Thank
here
you.
tonight.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Is this your first time on a Denton Radio program, or?
So I was on with Ellie.
Okay, the
Diva Girl
Vibe.
Ellie. Yep, the Vibe.
Yeah.
That was early on.
Mm-hmm.
That was a while ago, and then I popped in for her birthday. Said what up, you know.
Oh yeah, she had a lot of people out for that.
Yeah, and then every time Breezomatic comes, I'm usually
always
somewhere around.
He's on the sidelines now.
He's doing what I normally do.
He's the one taking the shots, making us look pretty. All right,
you know,
get
and
me from those right angles, Breezy.
Exactly. You know, it's
all
the
right?
45. Yep,
Exactly.
there we go. 45.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Which is something we're going to talk about tonight as well. Not only, do you you do all kinds of party planning, marketing type stuff for a living, but you've also kind of got you've got something hobbies and things that you carry those on into life beyond the workplace.
Oh, for sure.
When we did training day, you came down there and did kind of the rule of thirds. Is that what it was called?
Yeah. Well, I was kind of talking about photography, so
Yes.
I do a little bit of photography. I've been doing that for I don't know, like maybe 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have been figuring it out as I go. I went to school for media communications and TV and broadcasting, so that's where I learned the rule of thirds.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yeah, so I kind of was just talking at the training day. I was talking about a couple tips and tricks that you can use on your cell phone and as a model. So fun stuff like that. But yeah, photography is cool. I really like it. It's an instant gratification kind of activity for me.
And I think especially like now with the way that we can use technology and edit a picture right there and bring out certain colors or certain definitions and lines, it's actually quite a bit. You can feel very professional very quick. You're like, oh, yes, I took that.
Exactly. Like
Yes.
the second I got I went to school in Michigan, and once I got my hands on a DSLR, I was like, I'm a professional. And I was like, where's the clicker? Wait, how do I take the lens cap off? But I was a professional.
Yeah, you're figuring it out as you go.
I was holding a
exactly.
professional camera.
Exactly. Even Van Gogh painted his first painting.
Exactly.
All right?
You gotta be bad first before you can be good.
You gotta start somewhere. So coming from Michigan, where did you live in Detroit? Where were you? Where'd you grow up?
I was in the Metro Detroit area.
Okay.
I kind of grew up in a couple different areas. Southfield, for those of you. Well, I'm sure I have some people at home. My parents are probably watching, like, hey, mom and dad. So I grew up in the Southfield area, moved to Walled Lake. It's kind of like a suburb in the Metro Detroit area. But once I thought about dropping out of college the first time, I started hanging out in Detroit a lot. So I really got into that creative scene and kind of just was like, what's out here? What is there to do? Like, is there anything besides going out to eat and having beers that what else can we do?
Yeah.
So I just kind of started hanging around actually like underground hip hop shows. And then I was like, I could throw an event like this. I went to enough where I was like, I could do this. And then I went to a couple more and I was like, I think I'm going to do this. And then I started emceeing and started hosting events. And so I was doing a lot in the hip hop world, so to speak. But yeah, so I was hanging out in Detroit all the time. That's where I did all of my creative work. That's where I got my, I like to call it my internship in creativity.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on the streets of Detroit.
There you go. There you go. So schooled by the streets.
Yes, exactly. The creative streets, so to speak.
Very cool. All right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So like when you were growing up, you said you were kind of in like the metro city. Is that what it was called?
In Metro Detroit.
Okay,
yeah.
Metro Detroit.
Yeah.
Growing up out there, what kind of music were you guys listening to in the house when you were growing up? What was coming? Because you have a lot of different. There's a lot of different styles that you talk to me about that I have. I think I know a lot of genres, and I don't know all these genres. But what kind of music did you grow up listening to?
I'm going to be real honest and transparent here.
Okay.
I love show tunes.
Oh.
I love Disney. And I love, you can ask Breezy.
You're
I'm
not the
constantly, singing Disney. Like, when I want to get pumped up for something, I'm like, throw on some Disney music. And my sister and I will do that all the time.
Oh, yes.
Actually, before I got here, I was listening to my Spice Girls channel, 90s, early 2000s. But I grew up listening to, my mom was very into pop, so I was listening to Janet Jackson, Madonna, Whitney, Mariah, Salt and Pepper, stuff like
Very
that.
cool.
Salt and Pepper.
Yep.
And then on my dad's side, he was listening to Metallica and a lot more of the metal. And he plays guitar. My sister actually picked up guitar as well, so they're definitely on the rock and roll side of things. And my mom's on the pop R&B spectrum, so I kind of was just like, I'll just play this whole
just
area.
listen to it all.
Yeah.
And so coming from kind of an event, I think that's one of the things that doesn't really get talked about a whole lot is the people behind the events. People talk about the event when it's going on. They'll talk about the music, things. Yeah. But it's about kind of the pre-planning of that event. So along the way, what was it about going to these events? Was because there's things that I like about planning events, but what do you like about the process?
Ooh, there's so much. I mean, when I was in that phase of my life, I was like, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. It was more because it was a bunch of guys planning hip hop shows and they were doing okay, but there was no ladies coming. And that was that was always the complaint. I'm like, well, there's no chairs. Why would a lady come if there's no chair for them to sit in? They're not going to stand the whole night.
Yeah.
There's no water. There's nothing, so it was those little things that I noticed where I was like, okay, as a female, I can bring that to the table. I know what other women are looking for at an event that's in a cement box, know? But
that's
even
a very good point.
It's you
all
don't
it
think about
is a
it.
Cement box.
But no, they were literally cement boxes. There was nothing there. It was we're throwing an event in a cement box. There's no furniture. There's no nothing. There's one plug, and they just plug the sound system in, and they're like, it's a party. And I'm like, almost.
That's not the way it works. Yeah. No, you got to have more.
Yeah.
You got to have more, and that's true. And so. What did you kind of start doing to make your events stand out compared to other people's? I'm not trying to steal your secrets or anything.
No. I'm happy to share. Well, I mean, because I grew up, my mom is a hostess. She has been hosting parties since before I was born. So I kind of grew up in that chaos of get the house clean, everybody's coming over tomorrow, set it up, get the food, go do the shopping and all of that. So I kind of grew up in that. But once I started going to these events and seeing all the things that didn't really sit well with me, I started participating in them first. That was the first real way that I started getting involved. What is happening that I don't see as a patron of these events? And then I just started adding to oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And the first event that I actually did on my own was called the Trifecta.
Okay.
It was a fashion show / hip hop show / b-boy show. So it was there was hip hop acts, and then while the acts were happening, there was a fashion show happening around them, and then in between the acts there was b-boy battles.
Okay.
And that was the thing I think that made my event stand out, was that I brought those 3 different communities together. I was a part of all 3 of them, and I noticed that none of them connected with each other for whatever reason. I was like, these people need to be in the same room.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, let's all be in the same room.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that for me is the most fun, is finding those people, giving them that platform and that opportunity to do what they love around people that they may not know that they can benefit from, and vice versa for everyone. So for me, it's all about the people.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you say that kind of your one of the things that you wanted to see more of was bringing people of those different groups together?
Oh, absolutely. It was I was like, you guys are so dope. Why don't you know them? They're dope. They do all the things that you don't know how to do. You should be with them.
I think what's interesting too is the fact that if you go back and you talk to somebody who was alive was in their 20s in 1988, they would tell you that hip hop was fashion art and MCs and the b-boys. It was the big 4, You had the graffiti artists, you had the b-boys, you had the DJs, and you had the MCs.
Yep.
And so somewhere along the way, though, it all kind of separated itself
And they
out
were
to
like,
where they
"Oh, you
weren't
have to
hanging
be-"
out anymore. It was like,
Yeah.
oh wait, you're a rapper. The rappers don't like the
Rappers gotta hang out with the
rappers don't
rappers.
like the painters, and the painters don't like the DJs,
and the fashionistas,
and the DJs don't like the fashionistas.
they don't want to get
the
paint on
fashionistas
them.
don't like anybody.
Right, exactly. It was very cliquey in Detroit, and it was very
Yeah.
obvious. And I'm like, you guys have you live in like within a 10-mile radius, and you don't know who this person is. So for me, it was like, this is obvious.
And it all originated as one thing. Hip hop was the culture of it,
was
as
the
well.
hub,
Rap was the art of rhyming words.
Right, and it was a tangent, you know, and so that for me, I was like, this is pretty obvious solution to this problem.
Yeah. And so what was one of the other things that you saw was a problem, and you were like, I have a solution for that. So besides, the kind of separation of the groups and then bringing them together, what else did you kind of set out to do in order to bring people more people out to these events?
I think it was doing just that, but more intimately. It was like, hey, you're really good at making flyers. You're really good at digital art. You're really good at social media marketing. Like, do you want this opportunity to create something from scratch? Do you want to do this? Do you like, what will make you happy? So I was like, hey, I have this opportunity. I have this great idea. I can execute, but I can't execute X. And I was like, but you can execute X, and you can't execute what I can. So it was basically saying the same thing on a more intimate scale, saying, I have this skill, you have that skill. Together we can make something great. And then delivering on that, saying, this is the opportunity for you, and I'm going to make it as accessible and entertaining and fun and a learning experience for you, so that you want to come back and help me with more events, and that we can create more things together. And so it's kind of just zooming in on that, bringing those groups together and then bringing people's skills together.
Yeah, for sure. So when you're bringing people together, what are the things that you look for in fellow creatives that you want to work with?
Passion.
That's a good one.
It's like, it's like when somebody's like, oh my God, I have this great idea, and they're just radiating that good energy and saying, that the energy to want to do. There's a difference between the energy of wanting to do and then wanting to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, here's the opportunity. Talk about it or be about it. I'm all about be about it. Let's do it. And if they show up, then it's go time. So it's all about that synergy, but that willingness to action. I think some people don't necessarily have, but those people, those people are just as important, because those are the people that are going to come to the event, and they're like, okay, you might not be a volunteer or a participant, but you can come and have a good time,
Yeah. What are some of the things that you like to see aesthetically at these events in a way? What, maybe some things you would have done in the past. I was watching a CD release party, just kind of recap video the other day of an artist that I really like. And they had like little hors d'oeuvres out, and it was very quaint, and it was daytime, and I was like, okay, now I'm thinking about some cheese platters.
That's small, the little details,
the little things, here and there. So what are some things that you've done or that you can suggest to people to do to kind of liven up the aesthetics of the event, what people are seeing or experiencing in their senses?
So I work for a corporate publication in Michigan, and I'm their event coordinator. And one of the things that I've learned through working there was focus on the 5 senses. So sight, smell, sound, touch, and then you have to add in that energy, So what do they feel when they're walking into the room? What do they smell when they're walking into the room? What are they hearing? What are they tasting? What are they, So if you can focus in on those 5 senses, even if you are in a cement box, if you can play to that cement box, okay, this is the best cement box you've ever been in, because we're gonna focus on that detail of like what you as the guest are experiencing.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have the nicest centerpieces or the best backdrop or the best lighting. You don't have to have a huge budget. You just have to be conscious of what your guest is going to experience. And what we've done and what we do all the time is walk through the event from start to finish. Like, what are they experiencing? What are they seeing? And just that kind of attention to detail will it'll give you all the questions and answers that you need to, like, what is the aesthetic? What are we trying to get across? What is the goal of the event? So the 5 senses, and that will help you ask all of those questions to get those answers.
I like that. I like that. You know, thinking about the 5 senses, not sentences, walking through the event, experiencing it in that way. What are some of your favorite events over the years that you've done? If you can think of a couple off the top of your head, or there's some that really stand out in a way.
Well, the revamp is probably the culmination of all of the experiences that I've had and then executed in one event. So that right now is what's happening now. And so that for me is kind of like every failure that I've had, every lesson that I've learned, like every experience that I've gone through. And then just, we kind of just let it out with this one. So definitely this one, the trifecta for sure. That was my very first event, and that was a huge success, and I was not expecting it to be. I did a summer series in Detroit. It was called Hashtags and Typos, and that was an improv acting class / event. So it was like a party, but it was an improv show, but it was like an acting class. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, it's like everyone gets better, so every single one I'm like, oh, that's my new favorite. Oh, that's my new favorite, because you just get better as you go.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, yeah.
That's very cool. It's very cool how that all goes together. So now, we've kind of talked the event side of things, okay? And like and how the ways that you've kind of changed things up to kind of fit how you thought, we should do it like this, we should do it like this. But not only that, but there's also a lot of fashion behind your events too. Like, just like you said, the revamp is a culmination of all your successes and failures right there, and they're super fun. I love them. They're a great time.
They're fun.
And one of my favorites is just you have an eclectic group of different types of people who come out for them, but a lot of people don't know what the revamp is. So let's talk about what is the revamp.
The revamp is a clothing swap. So just imagine the ultimate garage sale.
Yep.
With all of your friends, but it's mostly focused on fashion right now. But essentially our guests bring all of the clothes that they don't want to wear, and you come and then you get to take all of the clothes that you find that everybody else brought. There's a flat fee. So it's not free because it's not free to host events, but it's as cheap as it can be.
Yep.
So if you bring a clothing donation, it's $10 and you get to take as much stuff as you find. And when I say as much stuff as you find, we've had people come 3 or 4 times in the same day and leave with bags every time. And then if you don't bring a donation, it's a flat fee of $20 and you still get to take as much stuff as you want.
There you go.
And then everything else is donated at the end. Everything that's left over, we donate it to a local nonprofit. And it's a good time. We got music and DJs by Something Modern. They do their breakfast and beats at Backyard and Bell. So there's like the music aspect, and then there's the swapping aspect, and it's just kind of like a really good hang,
Yeah.
So it's a fun time.
The last one we did was whenever they busted out all the tents, right? That was the last one where that was some craftsmanship.
Raining.
Were you part of this? Yeah, you were a part of it. Yeah. See, you're tall enough though to where it's not too much of a chore. Guys like
Chelsea.
me who are your
we got one of our brand ambassadors.
Your average height of 5'10" isn't as good as you and Zach on that one.
But I can do that. I'm only 5'6", so
you're more motivated than me. Your motivation gives you 3 inches of height.
Yes, it does. So I'm as tall as I want to be.
You're on 5. Yeah, you're at 5'9" now, and it's fine. Yeah. You're good. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So, and then when is this going down? We've actually got these little guys right
so
here.
It's on June 9th. That's this Sunday.
Yes.
It's from 12 to 5 at Backyard and Bell. It's a good time. Just come and hang out.
So how can people, so is this the Instagram right here?
Yes. The Instagram is at re.vamp.swap. Revamp swap.
No vampires. Okay.
Nope. I mean, we're
Dad
inclusive.
Dad jokes. Oh, okay. Vampires are cool.
Vampires are absolutely welcome. We'll have
Sunscreen,
tents for you.
Recommended.
Yeah.
All right. And if people want to follow you,
follow me?
If they want to find out you, maybe get in contact with you about events, event planning, things of that nature. How do they get in contact with you?
Yeah, my Instagram is Amanda Sweet 106. That's sweet like candy. So Amanda Sweet 106.
There you go.
So I'm always on the Instagram. I'm always there. So if you ever need to find me, that's where to find me.
So how did you decide this is an event I want to do? There's so many different things you can do, and I hadn't seen anything in Denton done like this yet, you know, where it brought the two different groups together. I'd seen like donation drives where oh hey, your cover charge is a coat, you know, and then they donate the coats, but this is something that's a little bit grander, a bit bigger, and much larger scale than just people dropping off a coat, because like these things, there's hundreds of pieces of clothing, like, you know. The last one was tons.
It was everywhere.
every table was covered. It was awesome.
We could not keep up, which is a good problem.
Yeah. And so what made you settle on that idea?
So it's never really a settle when it comes to the ideas. I'm not settling. It's like, this is what I need right now. Okay. So when I first moved here, I didn't have any girlfriends, you know, and so that's what I used to do with my friends back at home. We would have clothing swaps in our apartments, at our houses. I'd be like, hey, I have a bag of stuff I'm getting rid of. You want to come over and look through it and pop on a movie, have some dinner, and go through some clothes and, you know, do a little fashion show in front of each other. But when I came here, I was like, I don't know anybody, you know? And I met the ladies at Studio 116, and they had a space, and I was like, do you guys want to do a clothing swap? And they were like, yeah. And of course, just me, the way that I am, I was like, well, we can make it a huge event. Yeah. Like, let's just make it as big as possible. And the first one was not a failure, but it was just us. Yeah. You know, so we had a whole bunch of food, and we had music, and we had a bunch of fun, but it was like 10 people. Yeah. So we did a lot of work, we spent a lot of money, and put out a lot of energy for a whole lot of nothing. Yeah. But the next one was a little bit better. There was 12 people. Yep. You know, and the next one there was 25. Yep. And this most recent one was our most successful one, and it was raining, and it was crazy. It was busy all day. I was like, okay, I can get down with this. Yeah, people are coming out for it. So they're a lot of fun. So it was just kind of like, I need clothes. That's where it started. It started there. I was like, I need clothes. I don't feel like thrifting. I don't feel like spending a lot of money. But then it kind of became, I was at the end of the first one, I was like, what do I do with all of this stuff? I have so much of it. Yeah. And right then it was like, okay, well, obviously we donate it, right? We obviously donate to somebody that can use it here and now. Yeah. And then after that, it was like, okay, well, how can we take this up a notch and make it more about sustainable fashion and sustainable consumerism? So it kind of has evolved. It started as a very selfish need. I will be honest. It was like, I want clothes. But then it evolved into other people need clothes. Other people want clothes. Other people deserve clothes. How can we cater to them as well? And so it's kind of blossomed into this beautiful community volunteer give back-esque type of event. So yeah. And the thing is that, you know, it is the community, and it's like, it's people using clothes that they've had for a long period of time. But I see the fashion shots, and they are fashion forward. All right. Yes. They are stylish. They are good. So it's well done on that end, you know, and the thing is, like, I don't think I can. I've talked to some of the other people in the revamp about this. I'm like, I can't pull these things off. I'm a very basics guy. Like, as far as clothing?
Yeah, like, you know, I can't do. No, I feel like I don't feel like I'm being me. You know, like if I wore, like, you know, like, I don't even really know if I had some Yeezys, but like real broke down Yeezys, and I had like skinny jeans with the pants rolled up with like an Adidas socks and like a Puma shirt with an Adidas hat or something. I don't. You know,
I'm not about that either, though. I feel, you know what, though? I've noticed this is a very broad opinion, and I might be like pinning it on Denton, but I feel like there's a lot of people in Denton that like the brands, and where I'm from, it's all about the thrift, you know. And I know a lot of people here do thrifting, and they're but they're focused on that brand. But for me, when I'm thinking about fashion, it's like, how do I make this piece say what I'm feeling, you know, and it doesn't matter what the brand is. So for me, I'm like, it's not about the brand at all. You could be wearing Gucci and Louis and everything head to toe and still look wild.
But I think that's my thing too, is like, when I walk into a store, I find something where I'm just like, I like that. Like, this is all I needed. I was like,
See, but you could have pulled that off without the brand on there.
No, I mean, yeah, but even this.
It's a nice touch.
Yeah, I like my little Quicksilver. It reminds me of being in 6th grade all over.
Exactly. I had some skater shoes too.
But like that's the thing is like when I walk into a store and I'm looking for clothes, I'm looking for something, or like I would go to the thrift for sweaters and stuff like that because I just love the silly things you can find.
I love those stores.
But when it comes to like the summer, it's so hot in Texas that I'm like, give me a pair of shorts and a shirt.
Yep.
I don't need anything. I don't need to try to look fly because I'm not gonna feel fly. I'm gonna be sweating.
But you can. It's a glow. It's not sweat.
I don't have a natural that thing that y'all have that the people. I don't even know what it is. Where it's so hot, but you don't look like you're sweating at all.
See,
These
I don't
people
know what
who
that
pull
is.
that off.
I feel like everybody feels that way. Those people,
I
always feel like I'm sweating
I don't know.
I'm sweating out everything.
I'll be doing weddings outside, and I get home and I look at myself and I'm like, oh.
See, but you have a different perception and
roasted.
expectation of
Just
yourself.
roasted.
But people looking at you might be like,
You're right.
he looks great.
You're right.
Why isn't he sweating? Exactly. It's the summer glow. It's not sweat.
Okay, from here on, yeah. Are you hot? No, this is a glow.
This is a glow. I did this on purpose.
It's a sunburn. You need some aloe vera. No, it's a glow. You don't get it.
Yes.
Amanda told me she's a professional.
Just
she
say
knows
MAC
more than
Cosmetics
you.
and they'll walk away.
She knows what she's talking
Just
about.
say it's Fenty.
Yeah, get out of here.
You'll be fine.
It's okay to peel, man. It's normal. So
it's good for you.
But I was talking about MJ about this too. I was like, I think the furthest my fashion sense ever went was like 12th grade. Senior year in high school, I was all about just collared.
Baby blue suit?
No, just like the shirt rolled up to right here. With jeans with buckle jeans and Vans. It was
buckle
the most
jeans?
buckle.
What's a buckle jean?
It's a brand, Buckle.
Oh, okay.
So it's their store brand. So you don't have the money to buy the more expensive jeans. You buy Buckle brand jeans.
Okay. See, I never got into Buckle.
No, see that was just like that was as suburban as it got for me.
But I mean, it was because I know what Buckle is, and I just didn't have the money for it. Mm-hmm. Like I was always kind of like, my money can't go to clothes.
I only had one pair of jeans though.
I had so many jeans. I was like, I'm going on the 5 for 5 day at the thrift store and getting every single pair of jeans for 50 cents.
See, that's the
We'll
I just have
you.
difficulties with it.
And that's something that a lot of people say that we've had some people come and help volunteer that aren't necessarily thrifters, and they're like, I'm overwhelmed by this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not about the everything. When you're thrifting, it's all about focusing on what you're looking at, instead of looking at everything. If you look at everything, you're going to get overwhelmed for sure. If you just focus on what's in front of you, then you'll be able to get through all of the pieces a lot faster. And also, if you have something in mind, you're like, I'm looking for a pair of jeans.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a pair of buckle jeans.
Lofty wants to start dressing all fly every Sunday, and I was like, man, the summer
he already does dress fly every Sunday.
You should have seen him on Sunday. This Sunday, he was Sunday's best for Sanford Blacks last time.
I love it.
But it was, and I was like, dude, I can't do that. Like, I sweat too much. It's crazy. It gets hot.
Everybody's got their own thing.
Next thing I know, I'm all dried up.
It's like Lofty expresses himself through his fashion. He's very expressive in that way. You're more expressive through the way you interact with people, and you don't have to do it necessarily through your clothes.
Okay, fine.
So everybody
she's being nice.
No,
she's
but
being nice.
It's like it is what it is. Everybody has their different thing, and my dad wears cargo shorts like every day. Except when he's not at work.
Well, I mean, now that I'm a dad, I think I have to get. Dad. I mean, I've had a lot of people ask me, "Are you going to get cargo shorts?"
You should.
I don't really understand what cargo shorts ever did wrong to anybody. All they did was allow you to carry multiple things at one time.
I feel like people don't like utility when it comes to fashion.
I feel like but with cargo shorts, they're so long anyways. Just wear pants, because. The extra length is going to give you the balance you need to be able to run appropriately if you've got things in those heavy pockets. Otherwise, they're just swinging.
But then
like
if you're wearing pants, you don't got the airflow.
It's a good point.
It's it's just not feasible for the cargo short. It's more like a cargo, what is that?
Cargo, I don't know.
I don't know. Capri.
Yeah. The capris don't go all the way to the ankle. You have some breathability on the ankle.
You show a little bit of the calf.
Capris are interesting. We've tried it all. We've talked about it all today, from the shorts to the capris.
But
to
what
the
about
pants
the ones that are zippable and unzippable? Like you could go from pants to.
Now we're just getting wild.
But it's out there.
It's too much.
Somebody might like it, and they might be at the swap. They probably will be at the swap.
Exactly. So if you have some cargo shorts, come to the swap.
Zip convertible cargo shorts to pants, preferably.
and drop those off. Yeah. Some tear off cargos if you got them.
Those
would be sweet. Those would be sweet. So when you yourself, like you said, you would go to the thrift and you have a certain mindset. What are you looking for? What's the process for you?
For me, as a plus size woman, I'm mostly looking for clothing that will fit me. So I'm looking for those plus sizes, and I'm not necessarily concerned with the style or the print until I try it on. So when I'm at the thrift store, I'm strictly looking for a size 18, 16, 20, or somewhere in that range. And ladies understand what I'm talking about when I say that. But so yeah, I'm strictly looking for size, and then I go in and I try everything. And I try everything, and I mix and match. And I always, whenever people go thrifting with me, they're always like, I would have never grabbed that. And I'm like, you just need to grab everything. Yeah, everything that could fit, try it on.
Okay. See what works.
Yeah. So I'm kind of open-minded. I'm like, as long as it fits well, I'm happy. And that's how you kind of create new trends and do different things, because you're wearing stuff that's not necessarily trendy, but it fits you well and it looks great on you, so people, when they see you and you're wearing something a little bit off the beaten path, they're like, oh, that's pretty cool.
I like that.
How'd you do that?
Nice. How'd you do that?
How'd you do that? And I'm like, oh, I tried it on. It fit. It was great.
I just put it on. I just put it on, and then I do the rest.
No, but it's all about play.
It was all me.
It's imagination.
Yeah. Yeah, and so beyond, past the marketing, and then we've talked the fashion, we've talked the revamp, which we've got coming up. But then, like we also kind of mentioned right at the beginning of the show, there is some photography in there as well. And nowadays, with Instagram being a huge platform to advertise and a way to get people's attention, photography is a big part of our lives, or graphic design, things of that nature. So how do you choose how you want to present yourself through this world of social media?
So at least for the revamp, what we've been doing that was kind of cool was we kind of took that brand ambassador thing, because we were like, how do we get more people involved without giving them a bunch of, obligations? Yeah. We're like, come take pictures with us. I do photography. It'll give you an opportunity to flex some muscles. It'll give us an opportunity to have some people to market. So, we were just kind of like, let's go. My thing was like, come on this day and look as fly as you want. And I was like, be as cool as you feel like being, but do it all the way. And so we'll just take those photos, and luckily I have a great team. So Mariah Smith and Katie Hayes have been helping me select the photos, because I'm a shooter. I'm like, I'll have like 1,000. Last time I think I had almost like 1,500 pictures from the last shoot. So they have the daunting task of picking the best. I usually get it down to like a couple hundred, but then they have that task to select. So for me, as far as Instagram, for my personal Instagram, when I'm picking pictures, I'm thinking about a little bit of everything. Like, what am I trying to say with this post? I kind of play Instagram like a game. So I like to do colors, and so like I like to keep the colors in line with the previous picture, so it kind of does a gradient. I'm a little off that, but I like to play it like it's a game. So like, does it flow well with the previous pictures? Is it saying what I'm trying to get across? What is my content? And usually I don't think of the content until 5 seconds before I post it. And I'm like furiously like there's smoke coming from my thumbs, but it's definitely about presenting the feeling. But I do a lot of shoots, so I'm constantly shooting for other people and getting shots for myself. So I have a lot to choose from as well. And sometimes I'm like, I have nothing to pick from. But I have all. It's kind of like looking in the closet and being like, look at all these clothes. I have nothing to wear. So it's kind of like that. But sometimes it's like, oh, this one makes sense. This feels right.
Yeah. And so how do you? Because a lot of people, when they're in front of the camera, even though they like to dress a certain way, they might never have had a photograph taken of them in their lives. So what do you tell people when they're in front of the camera? How do you kind of get them to relax a little bit and just kind of be themselves in a way, in a world where we live in this all the time?
But then when you pull like a full blown
when you're
camera,
finally in front and it's just you,
it's like a deer in headlights sometimes. I get that a lot. So I mean, it comes down to that people that what did they want?
Okay.
What are they looking for? What are their fears behind this? What are their strengths? So usually what I do is I just talk to them. Like, so what's up? What you got going on? What you working on? What's going on at home? How are you feeling? Are you feeling good? Do you like your outfit today? What's your favorite part of your outfit? And I just get them comfortable enough with me so that I can direct them in a way that they trust me.
Yeah.
And so usually I can get them comfortable enough for me to, either me direct them like fully and they're like completely into it, or we become in sync. And I don't even have to say anything. And I'm just like, tilt up a little bit, tilt down. But I'm very vocal. I'm a very vocal photographer. I'm talking the whole way through and screaming, yes, queen. Like the whole time.
I think
like,
that's
you
important,
look great.
though. Yeah.
You look amazing. If you don't, I don't know. I did corporate headshots for my company. And I couldn't not do that because that's me as a photographer, not as as an event coordinator. I'm a little more professional while I'm at work. But they hired me to do the photography. And so I'm out there with the CEO of my company and I'm like, girl, you look so good, and screaming at her, and she's laughing and blushing, but then I'm getting the shots that I want. It's like I had to be that bubbly version of myself. And kind of there's a lot of psychology that goes on with that. For me, that's where my strength comes in, because I'm not very technical when it comes to photography. I don't know a lot about the camera. I kind of put it on auto, but
and just click.
But for me, where I shine is making people feel comfortable and open, so that I can get that shot.
I always felt like I've had photos taken of myself for like music things at times, and I always felt that like the best thing to do was nothing at all.
Yes.
Was just like, you don't just
do you.
Yeah. Okay. So there's somebody taking pictures in front of you. Okay. So choose to go. I would go through a cycle of emotions, and I would start talking with the guy, and then we would start laughing ourselves. And then when I would laugh, that's exactly. Get a few of those, and maybe talk, look away, in a more serious fashion, look directly at the camera just to creep the guy out a little bit. He's like,
yeah, no, I'm all about it. I'm all about it.
Yeah. So there's that was what I figured out after a while, was that the best thing to do is really nothing at all.
Yes.
And just allow the photographer to take the pictures and be yourself naturally. Because when all of a sudden, like, I saw this picture of this guy the other day, and
I can
it was like, this is how he's looking.
It's so posed, and it's hard.
It was like he was trying to be like, hi.
Hey, this is my smolder.
This is cologne.
Do you like my smolder?
Yeah, I'm smoldering right now.
It's a good smolder.
Yeah. But it was more just like, dude, this guy looks like he's having an allergic reaction.
Yeah. But that's the hard part, because you either get people that are the deer in the headlights, or they refuse to be natural. They're so stuck in their pose that they think looks good, which it might look great in a selfie, but it's totally different when you're doing photography. It's a different angle. It's a different perspective. It's somebody else's eyeballs on you. So you have to kind of just be the muse. And so for artists out there, or people that have never had photos taken of them, just breathe. That's my biggest thing. Breathe. Take a deep breath. You got to breathe. I always tell people, I'm like, just breathe. And usually if I say that, it's because they're not breathing. Because they're like, and I'm just like, breathe, let it go. You're good. It's all good. Just take a deep breath.
That was the perfect one of those. That was excellent. Well done.
So that's usually, it's all about breathing and being natural and just relaxing, and the photographer will guide you. If they're good at what they do, they'll guide you. They'll make you look good. Their goal is to make you look good.
Remember to breathe.
Remember to breathe with everything.
Breathing is important.
But you can forget sometimes.
There was a sign in the town I grew up in, and I don't know why it was there. I'll never understand it, because there was the firehouse was right here, and across the street was the post office.
Right.
And you're driving down the street, and normally in the middle of the road, there's not just like a sign on the side of the road, but there was. And it was on the left-hand side of the street, but facing this way. So people coming this way couldn't see it. And it was a blue stop sign shape, and it just said breathe on it. Nobody ever said anything about this. Like,
they were just breathing.
It was just there.
Yeah.
Like, nobody ever mentioned, like, hey, there's this weird sign that says breathe, and doesn't make any sense why it's there.
But
my parents couldn't explain it, because I was a kid and it was there my entire childhood. For like
Nice.
18 years, there was just this sign that just said breathe. And it looked like something the city made.
It
Like, so I was
probably
wondering,
was.
like, what if it was just like a sign for like the postal workers every time they were leaving, you know, just breathe.
I'm sure that job can be pretty stressful.
Yeah, or the firemen, they got to
Yeah.
breathe. You know, this is maybe it was some psychological thing that they put there.
Definitely.
I don't understand.
It's affirmation.
But it's important in all areas, not just modeling.
Absolutely. You got to
make
keep
sure-
breathing.
Make sure
but
you
that's
breathe.
a big thing. It's like, it's sometimes, you're holding your breath because you're thinking that the next move might be wrong or whatever, that stress that comes with it. And so the breathing is more than just breathing because you have to breathe to live, but it's like, let all that bad stuff out, take a bunch of good stuff in, let all the bad stuff out. And then, and that repeat that cycle is just like all those
Oxygen.
thoughts that are going through your mind, just let it out. Let it out.
Oxygen,
Definitely.
sponsoring good vibes for a
Yes,
real long time.
absolutely.
That whole air thing is nice. You know what
It's
I mean?
the best.
All right, so before we end the show,
Yeah.
we've got a little bit more time left. Of course, we do have Ellie Bell coming up next from the Denton Vibe. She'll be coming up next. But I kind of want to go back over. Okay, so we got the revamp. All right,
Yes.
it's going to be coming up on June 9th.
Sunday.
So that is the wonderful clothing swap. So it's a flat fee of $10 if you bring clothes to donate. And you can take as much stuff as you can find. If you don't bring a donation, that's still fine. It's a flat rate of $20, and you can still take as much as you want.
And it's free to get in, so you don't have to pay to get in. It's only if you want to.
Yeah.
It's only if you want to take
Only
stuff
if you wanna
with you.
If only if you want to take stuff. And there's high-level security.
Oh, yeah.
High-level security,
We
trust
got
me.
all the guys from Something Modern.
Exactly.
there.
Me and Breezy,
And
Yeah,
Mercy
exactly.
and Luke.
That-
And,
that's-
yes. See, but wait, come back.
Exactly, yeah.
Come back. It's more going to be like, come on in. That's really what he's going to look like.
Yeah. Just run up. Hey!
I don't think
Come
I've ever
inside.
seen Breezy look mean. He's
Come
always
inside.
smiling.
Well
so
then, I've got a new mission. I'm gonna figure out a way to make you mad.
don't do it.
I'm gonna find the one
The
thing.
world might
It's like I
implode.
put I don't know. I put pears on his grilled cheese, and
He
that's what
might like
sets
it.
him off.
He might be
you know?
like, that's pretty good.
Just put a little Gruyere on there. Really would have spiced it up. So, all right. Well, once again, Amanda Sweet, thank you so
Thank
very much for
you.
everything you're doing around the town and for coming in and talking with me tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another wonderful episode of Sound Values. Once again, I want to thank our sponsor, LSA Burger Company. Appreciate y'all very much. And, of course, stick around. Up next, we've got Ellie Bell and the Denton Vibe coming up right here on DentonRadio.com. I will see y'all Sunday for Sunday Brunch. Peace.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. We want to thank our partners and sponsors who made this show possible. And now stick around for a word from all of us here at Discover Denton.